You are 24 years old and you own nothing. Not in a dramatic way. In the ordinary way, most people your age own nothing. You have a savings account with $6,200 in it. You have a car that runs. You have a job that pays $52,000 a year and a lease on an apartment that costs you $1,050 a month. You are not behind. You are exactly where the script says you should be. The script does not mention equity. Your coworker Dana is also 24. Same city, similar salary. She bought a duplex 8 months ago. You didn't know this until she mentions it at lunch casually, the way people mention things they've been sitting with for a long time. She lives in one unit. She rents the other for $1,100 a month. Her mortgage is $1,340. She's paying $240 a month to own a building. You are paying $1,050 a month to own nothing. That math stays with you for 3 days. You don't say anything, you go home, you open a browser tab, you close it, you open it again at 11:15 p.m. and you start reading. This is where it begins, not with capital, not with connections, with a number that didn't make sense until it did. The first thing you learn is that you don't need what you think you need. The myth is that real estate requires wealth to enter, that it is a game for people who already have money, that you need 20% down, perfect credit, and a financial safety net thick enough to absorb anything. This is partially true and mostly wrong. The 20% figure applies to conventional investment loans on properties you will not occupy. It does not apply to what you're going to do first. FHA financing allows 3.5% down on a primary residence with a credit score of 580 or higher. Conventional loans allow 5% down with stronger credit. Owner-occupied multifamily properties, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes qualify for these same terms. You can buy a 2-unit building, live in one side, rent the other, and finance it the same way you would a single-family home. This is called house hacking. The name is informal, the math is not. You spend 6 weeks learning the numbers, not theory, actual numbers in your actual market. You pull listings, you run spreadsheets, you learn what cap rate means, what cash-on-cash return means, what gross rent multiplier means. You learn them not because you need to sound sophisticated. You learn them because they are the difference between buying an asset and buying a liability dressed as one. At 24, with $6,200 in savings, you are not ready yet, but you will be. You cut, not dramatically, no deprivation. You stop upgrading things that don't need upgrading. You cook more. You move $600 a month into a separate account you label property fund and do not touch. You pick up one freelance project a month that adds $400. You are not suffering, you are building runway. 14 months later, you have $19,400. You buy a duplex at 25. Purchase price $218,000. It is not beautiful, the exterior needs paint. The second unit has carpet that should have been replaced in 2019. The kitchen in your unit has appliances that work and nothing else. You put 5% down, $10,900 plus closing costs. You hold $5,200 in reserve because your lender requires 3 months of mortgage payments and liquid savings, and because you are not reckless. Your mortgage, $1,510 a month. Taxes and insurance bring the total to $1,740. The tenant in Unit 2 has been there for 2 years. Quiet, consistent, pays $1,050. You do not raise the rent immediately. You introduce yourself. You fix the bathroom faucet she mentioned to the previous owner twice without resolution. You fix it the first week. Your effective housing cost, $690 a month. You were paying $1,050 to rent. You are now paying $690 to own half of a building. The first rule: your first property is not about cash flow. It is about entry, getting in, getting your name on a deed, getting the education that only ownership provides. You learn things no article told you. You learn that a furnace makes a specific sound before it fails, and that knowing this sound is worth $3,000. You learn that tenant relationships are the actual business and that good ones are worth protecting. You learn that a vacant unit costs you more in a single month than a small repair costs in a year. You learn by doing, which means you learn by losing small amounts of money on problems you didn't anticipate and recalibrating. This is not failure, this is tuition with a fixed asset attached. By 27, something has shifted. The property has appreciated, not dramatically. Your market grew at about 4.2% annually for 2 years. Your $218,000 building is now worth approximately $236,000. Your mortgage balance has dropped to $198,400 through regular payments. Your equity position, the gap between what it's worth and what you owe, is $37,600. You have built $37,600 in net worth through a combination of appreciation and principal paydown on a property where someone else is partially funding your mortgage. You raise the rent at lease renewal from $1,050 to $1,175. The increase is below market, your tenant stays, your effective housing cost drops to $565 a month. You have also done something else quietly. You have been tracking your credit, it sits at 744. You have been tracking local listings. You understand your market now in a way that took 2 years to build. You know which streets hold value, you know which property types rent fastest. You know one landlord in your area who is approaching retirement and has mentioned, twice, at a local investors meetup you started attending at 26, that he is thinking about simplifying his portfolio. You have a conversation with him in March. By June, you are under contract on a single-family rental 3 blocks from your duplex. Purchase price, $187,000. You put 20% down this time, $37,400, because this is a non-owner-occupied investment property. You use a cash-out refinance on the duplex to access $24,000 of your equity and combine it with $13,400 you've saved to fund the down payment. This is leverage working the way it's supposed to work. The second rule, equity is not meant to sit, it is meant to move. The single family rents for $1,290 a month. Your mortgage on it is $980. Net operating income after taxes, insurance, and a vacancy reserve, approximately $180 a month. It is not dramatic income, but you now own 2 properties at 27 years old and they are both growing. You are 29 and your balance sheet looks different than it did 5 years ago. Duplex current value $251,000, mortgage balance $191,000, equity $60,000, single family current value $204,000, mortgage balance $146,000, equity $58,000. Combined equity $118,000. Combined monthly rent collected $2,465. Combined mortgage obligations $2,720. You are covering most of it. Between the tenant subsidy on the duplex and the cash flow on the single family, you're paying roughly $255 out of pocket to maintain $118,000 in real asset equity. Your net worth at 24 was approximately $6,200. At 29, it is approaching $140,000 when you include your other savings, your 401k contributions you've maintained throughout, and your equity positions. You did not receive an inheritance. You did not start a company. You bought 2 properties in a market you understood, financed them conservatively, managed them attentively, and let time do the compounding. The third rule, real estate compounds through 4 mechanisms simultaneously: appreciation, principal paydown, rent growth, and reinvested equity. No savings account runs 4 engines at once. By 32, you no longer live in the duplex. You moved out at 30. You rented your unit to a new tenant for $1,300. Your duplex now generates $2,475 a month in gross rent. Your mortgage remains $1,510. After taxes, insurance, maintenance reserve, and property management, because you hired a manager at 30 when your time became worth more than the savings, you net approximately $420 a month. The single family nets $195. Total monthly cash flow, $615. That number is not wealth, it is a signal. It is the machine beginning to breathe on its own. You buy a third property at 31, a small triplex. You know what you're doing now, you underwrite it in an afternoon, you negotiate the purchase price down $11,000, you close in 34 days, you have done this before. The learning curve that felt vertical at 24 is now a skill set. By 32, your portfolio looks like this. Duplex worth $278,000. Owed $183,000, equity $95,000, single family worth $231,000, owed $138,000, equity $93,000, triplex worth $319,000, owed $261,000, equity $58,000. Total equity $246,000, total monthly gross rent $5,940. Total monthly net cash flow after all expenses, $1,080. You are 32. You have $1,080 a month arriving from assets you built with a $19,400 starting position 8 years ago. Your salary has grown. Your lifestyle has grown modestly. But the gap between your income and your expenses, the gap where wealth actually lives, has widened every year because the properties compound while your fixed costs do not. This is the part nobody tells you when you're 24. It doesn't feel like a strategy when you're doing it. It feels like a series of uncomfortable decisions. The down payment fund when your friends are booking trips. The duplex with the outdated kitchen when you could have waited for something nicer. The refinance paperwork at 27 when you barely understood what you were signing. The property manager fee that felt unnecessary until the 11 p.m. maintenance call you didn't have to take. Each decision feels small. The compounding is invisible until it isn't. At 24, the question everyone asks is, how do I afford it? The real question, the one that changes the answer, is, what does it cost me not to? You were paying $1,050 a month to rent. Every dollar of that payment built equity for someone else. It was not neutral. It was a decision you were making by default every single month without ever sitting down to make it. The fourth rule, every year you delay entry is a year of appreciation, principal paydown, and rent growth that belongs to whoever bought instead of you. Dana, your coworker, is 32 now too. She never stopped. She has 4 units. She refinanced twice. Her net worth from real estate alone is over $310,000. She still works, not because she has to, because she wants to. The properties do not require her presence. They require her decisions, and she has gotten very good at making them. You think about the lunch where she mentioned the duplex, the casual way she said it, how you almost didn't ask the follow-up question, how the entire thing almost didn't start. It started because of a number that didn't make sense, and then it did, and then you moved. The market is open. The properties exist. The financing mechanisms are the same ones Dana used, the same ones you used, the same ones are available to anyone at 24 with $19,000, a credit score worth protecting, and the willingness to sit with a number that doesn't make sense yet. It always starts before you feel ready. It always does.